One of the things that's been requested in the comments is that I take an early preview and take an early look at the position battles that are going to be going on at the Alabama Crimson Tide this offseason. And so I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do a way too early preview before even spring camp begins, so we can kind of have something to look back on as spring, summer, and fall come and go. So with that being said, I wanted to take a look at the front seven for the University of Alabama. And before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. So hop down in the comments and give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that this front seven for the University of Alabama could actually be more productive, specifically in terms of sacks and pass rush, than last year's? And let me know what you're thinking on that. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification because I do constant college football content, player reviews, film analysis, talk style videos like this, and I'm on my push to 5,000 subscribers within my first year of having a YouTube channel, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like and comment down below because that really does go a long ways in helping channels like mine get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's talk about this front seven, and I wanted to start here because I really think that this is one of the more exciting position previews on the Crimson Tide because of sort of the continuity. And make no mistake, the Crimson Tide have losses within this front seven. Whether it's transfers such as Ben Davis, guys leaving to the draft such as McMillan, Barmore, and Moses, there are going to be some lapses in talent. And specifically when you're talking about guys such as Barmore and Moses. Barmore putting together an incredible season from the interior position in that defensive front, and Dylan Moses having first-round ability, but after that injury never really getting the tape together to be able to justify a first-round pick. But that being said, easily one of the most exciting linebacker prospects in all of the NFL draft, and someone that was going to make a great career in the NFL. Have no doubt about that. Dylan Moses is going to be a really fun player to watch on the next level and on Sundays. But with that being said, I wanted to first start with the front seven, but specifically with the big nasties inside, because there is so much depth coming back. Whether we're talking Lebron Ray, Phidarian Mathis, Byron Young, Justin Boygby, Jamil Burrow, DJ Dale, or Tim Smith, there's a lot to be excited about. And sure, you might not have a Jonathan Allen or any of those superstars coming back, but the Crimson Tide did in fact lose Barmore, their most productive interior guy. But when you look, Mathis has had a very productive season, and he actually has the most production returned in the stat department as far as any of these big guys in the front line have. But that being said, that doesn't necessarily mean that I think he's the only guy that's due for a big year. You pick your name out of this bunch, and they could be the guy. Byron Young showed great flashes when he was in there, and really exciting play. Then you have guys such as DJ Dale who've shown some great flashes, and someone who I'm really watching this spring, and who's kind of my key guy amongst these big nasty guys. And that's Tim Smith. Tim Smith is a guy who I think is going to really rocket onto the scene this year and separate himself and show why he's going to be one of the next top defensive linemen. And while there will be a pecking order, I think by the end of the season, Alabama fans will know all of these guys' names, right? I mean, this is going to be a group that is so interesting because of the amount of depth they're able to just throw at you. And it's going to be more reminiscent of the previous Bama defenses where come the fourth quarter, the offensive line is tired and they look across from them and Bama is sending wave after wave after wave of dudes up front, and you just can't compete with that. And that's why I'm so excited for this Bama defensive front. Not only do I think that there are guys who are very much well poised for big seasons, whether that be a Boygby, Young, Mathis, Dale, Smith. I mean, really, any of these guys could do it. They all have that breakout ability. But I'm really looking at Mathis to be able to show why he is the leading guy as far as production is concerned and take it to another level. And once again, I already said I'm really high on Tim Smith. He's someone really interesting to watch. And you know, we've talked about guys, and I've named them like Mathis and Smith, but someone we haven't really talked about all that much is Lebron Ray. Lebron Ray looks to put together a fully healthy season this year at the University of Alabama, and the university is very lucky to get him back. If he's able to put together a fully healthy season, he could easily, without a doubt, be the guy to have that next big boom first round season, and it might not only even be relegated to just him. It wouldn't surprise me at all if both he and Phidarian Mathis had that big boom season coming up. But my goodness, we've just talked about all of the depth and some of these guys that could have very productive seasons for the University of Alabama, and we haven't even gotten to the outside position where as much as I'm excited about the interior of Alabama's front seven, this exterior is something to behold. Alabama was blessed when Chris Allen decided to come back for another season because he really came on strong in the latter portion of this past season, playing the best football I think he's ever played in a Crimson uniform, and he and Will Anderson might be the scariest pass rush duo in all of college football come next season. Will Anderson is a guy who is going to be leading the production as far as the front guys that are down linemen are concerned. He is a guy that had a freakish freshman year. And the OGs of this channel will know I called my shot right after the Missouri game and said that this kid is going to be special and is going to be one of the best defenders in all the SEC, and here we are. Will Anderson is primed for a even bigger season this year than he was last year. Because Will Anderson, while showing incredible flashes from week one, everything clicked later in the season, specifically through those last 5 games. Everything really clicked for Anderson, and he was just on a different level, and I look to see that continue and even improve going into next year. And we've talked about Allen kind of building off of him and saying how he improved, but when you even look at some of the depth behind these guys, right? You have Braswell, you have Demoy Kennedy, you have a guy like Drew Sanders, who I'm really high on because Drew Sanders is an athletic freak. When he was at Denton Ryan, he did everything from quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, jack, defensive end. He can do it all. And I'm kind of surprised I haven't heard Alabama kind of shifting him around in the defense and even at some at tight end and figuring out where they can get him involved because he is a hyper athletic dude. But point remaining, it's going to be hard for anybody to circumvent and overcome the production that I believe Chris Allen and Will Anderson are poised to put out there. And look, Bama has some incredibly talented guys coming in this freshman class who we're going to hit on at the end of this video, but even then, Allen's play was very, very high level at the end of this past season, and he really, really was impressive. And the tandem of him and Anderson really became a thing to behold, specifically when we're talking about like during the SEC championship, where they were playing lights out football, and I can't wait to see that continue. Now, the position that is almost just as easy to talk about as everything else within this, but certainly as easy as the outside situation for the defensive front, is the inside linebackers. Because even though the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to be losing McMillan and they're going to be losing Dylan Moses, there's a lot to be excited about. Christian Harris had an incredibly productive season from a defensive perspective and tackling perspective as a linebacker, and he will only build upon that. He is a freak at the linebacker position. And right now, we have already talked about how Alabama could land Henry To'oTo'o. And if that happens, look for To'oTo'o and Christian Harris to become one of the most feared linebacking duos, not only in the SEC, but in all of college football. I mean, we're talking sideline to sideline nastiness and explosion that is going to be hard to replicate. 2 guys who will not only run through you, but they'll catch you if you get behind them, and that's the kind of athleticism that opposing offensive coordinators are going to shudder at. However, if the Alabama Crimson Tide is not able to land To'oTo'o, it is going to be A-OK. And we don't even need to start even naming some of the new faces yet, just for us to feel comfortable at the faces that are already on campus, specifically Jalen Moody. And when I did a video talking about some of the new guys on campus, I hinted at I thought that Jalen Moody would be the guy if To'oTo'o didn't come to be playing aside Christian Harris. Now, one of the things I think is interesting is I think that they will keep, and from what I've heard, Harris will remain at his position so that he can just be free to be the athletic freak and specimen that he is, just hunting down and headhunting all over the place, while Moody takes Moses' role. And this is something that I would be very much well on board for. When Moody came in and played, I've said this multiple times in videos, so I do apologize for the OGs who have heard this. He was concerned about one thing and one thing only, his job. And I know that that might sound boring, but that is all you need to focus on. You cannot control what the 10 other individuals are doing in their pursuit of their jobs. The only thing you can control is your job. I really think that he's an exciting player to watch, and the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to be A-OK if To'o does not come. And I actually think Jalen Moody can be able to develop so that the end of next year, you're looking at a very, and not even the end of next year, I think by the mid-tier next year to even the beginning of the year because of Jalen Moody's ability, you're looking at a very scary Alabama linebacking duo. And we haven't even began to talk about these new faces coming into this Alabama class. And one of the things I think that's very easy for us to kind of go ahead and say is that it's going to be hard for anybody to come in and get meaningful minutes, specifically at that jack position and where Chris Allen is, because you're not going to really take that just from Will Anderson or Chris Allen. I'm not going to say there's obviously going to be rotation. Drew Sanders got in last year. The guys will get rotation, but the bulk of minutes will probably go to those two. Now, one guy that I am incredibly interested to see if he can break into that defensive end rotation is Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner's motor is unbelievable. He is a physical freak, and he is somebody who is going to be coming in with a ton of hype and who I really can't wait to see. He's somebody to keep an eye on, but it's going to be very hard for any of the outside linebackers or defensive end guys to be able to supersede what Alabama already has there. Now, if they do move to more of the interior Lebron Ray DE role, they can absolutely be in on this rotation, which will only help the Alabama Crimson Tide. And even further than that, when we look at a guy like Damon Payne, you have to like his chances at coming in and contributing early, at least in a rotation capacity. And that's kind of what I began this video with, and where I really want to keep everybody's focus at. Alabama is going to have a lot of dudes up front that are going to be vying for a breakout season. But even amongst that, the depth that they have, especially at that front group, is absolutely astronomical. I mean, this is a really exciting group because, like I say, not only are they guys poised to have a boom season, they have waves and waves to send after you. And as far as the newcomers in the inside linebacker position are concerned, there's a lot of guys who will be pushing Jalen Moody for that job, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I was really impressed what I saw out of Moody. And as it stands right now, I think it's safe to say that he is the guy, unless To'o comes in which case it will be Christian Harrison To'o. But as spring goes forward, we will absolutely be looking back on this, updating this, kind of seeing where we were right, where we were wrong, and this is going to be something that is a lot of fun, and more position groups are to come. And one thing that I'm really excited to announce is the final position group, or one of the position groups when we get to offense, will be done as a collab video with someone who does quarterback evaluations full-time on their channel, so you do not want to miss that. So with all that being said, be sure to like the video, comment down below, let me know what you're thinking about the defensive front seven, because my oh my, when I think about this defensive front seven, I think about violent waves, because there is an astronomical amount of depth. That's it. See ya.